What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be talking about the performance of the Nike Metcon React Turbos. Okay, so if you haven't seen my initial impressions on the React Turbos, I highly recommend that you go check that video out before you watch this video. In this video, I'm gonna kind of glance over like the build quality things, which I mainly went over in that video. We're gonna just focus mainly on the performance of the React Turbos. So first off, we'll start with the construction anyways to just kind of recap things. So with the React Turbos, we have a couple different upper fabric meshes. So there's a more taut mesh on the lateral side, and then on the medial side, there's a softer mesh. They're both very comfortable. The shoe is very flexible. It's breathable. There's a slight stretch to it. I said in my initial review that, you know, they're gonna feel tight initially. So just wear them. They will break in, and mine have broken in. I don't think that they're a very narrow shoe at all. I don't think they're wide, but I think they're somewhere in the middle. So I think for the majority of people, they're gonna fit your feet pretty well. We do have a new redesigned outsole. So there's a few points here for stability, which I think work very well. And then you have this break right here, which is to cut down on the overall weight of the React Turbos. The tread pattern is a multi-directional tread pattern, and then this channel right here has some more grooves that are there to catch the rope. Now, when I use these for rope climbs, I found that I couldn't even get a hold of the rope at all. These are literally the worst rope climbing shoes that I have ever used in my life. Now, personally, I don't think that is a big deal to myself because I always just wear like trash shoes when I do rope climbing workouts, something that is just like a beater. So I probably, in a normal like scenario, wouldn't wear these anyways. But if you're like a one shoe person, like that's the only shoe that you have to do CrossFit with, then I would say you probably don't want to go with these just because they're really bad for rope climbs. If you don't rope climb at all, then you could just forget what I just said because it doesn't apply to you at all. Okay, so this is the reason why the React Turbos are not good for rope climb. So there is this channel right in the middle of the midfoot, and then there are teeth on both sides, but the teeth don't do anything to grab the rope. So when you go up and you put pressure down on the rope, like you should be, there is no traction. It's not catching at all. So when I go up, I go for my J-hook, and then from here, I go to stand, and I just fall down the rope. So, I mean, you're basically gonna be doing legless rope climbs with these shoes. Anyways, moving back, the outsole has a stitched on, glued on heel that is attached independently to the shoe. You can't really see the glue on this one, but you can see the glue on one of my pairs. So you can see it there. And then on the other side, which is a little bit alarming, there's some of the thread coming out. I don't know how that's gonna be for overall like durability, lasting durability of the shoe, because mine is already, I wouldn't say it's coming loose, but the thread there is a little alarming. Plus the fact that they're glued on is not, you know, not ideal for a shoe that you're gonna really be beating up. But I really don't have any durability qualms with the shoe just yet. It's been like less than a month, so only time will tell. You do have the heel clip at the back here that is also cut down just a bit, and that's also to save weight of the shoe. And then you have some little overlays and panels, Nike React, Metcon at the back, and that is basically there to cover like some of the seams. And then let's take a look at the midsole again. So like I said in the previous video, there is still the drop-in React midsole. It's one density throughout, but it does have a middle plate that is basically the midfoot shank, just because if you were to have the shoe and you had that break there, the shoe could collapse in the middle. But with that On the drop-in midsole, it does not do that. So it saves your foot right there. So the drop-in midsole is interchangeable just like any of the other Metcons. You can stick pretty much any other drop-in midsole, but you won't have that midfoot shank there. I didn't really notice it being that terrible. Like I put the React one or the previous React midsole in here and it wasn't bad. I think if you wanted to do that, it should be fine. It shouldn't really damage your feet or hurt your feet too much at all. Like I said before, the tongue on the shoe is a weird shape, but it never really bothered me at all. The actual cut of the shape, I heard some people talking about it being higher. This is still a fairly low cut shoe. I think it's pretty much on par with, it's definitely lower than the previous React, that's for sure. And then I have the Metcon 6 right here, and it's pretty much the same height as the Metcon 6. So it's not any higher. And I feel like the cut around the ankle is pretty comfortable with this shoe. The laces, pretty good. Can't complain. Some people say that they're a little too short. I haven't had that issue. Mine are the perfect length for my shoe personally, but this is a size 10. Who knows what length shoelace that they're using for, you know, some of the bigger sizes. Oh, one more thing. So I found out the actual drop of the React Turbos, and this is straight from Nike. It is a 4mm drop. So they're in line with the normal Metcons and not like the React Metcons and the Flyknit Metcons from before, which were all 6mm. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the fit of the shoe, which I kind of already talked about, but I'll glance over it again. So true to size for me, I went with a men's size 10 initially. They were a little bit on the tight side. I just wore them around. I did unlace the laces all the way and then relace them just to give myself a little bit more like room in the shoe, but the shoes eventually just broke in and they're very comfortable in my normal true to size. Now that being said, I don't think that this is the greatest shoe for people that have really, really wide feet. It still errs on the more narrow side, normal to narrow, but I don't think it's the most wide foot friendly shoe. Overall, I think it's a neutral shoe. There's not really any arch or anything. It definitely feels like less of an arch than in the Reacts, and it's more in line with just your normal Metcons. Other than that, there's no heel slip. I haven't had any squeaking in this shoe. Some people, I guess, have been getting squeaking, but for me personally, that has not been an issue. I guess that doesn't really have to do with fit, but I thought I'd just throw it in there anyways. If you have a really wide foot, you might want to go with a half size up, but I did notice when I first bought this shoe, I got a half size up and it was a little bit on the long side, so I didn't really like that about it. I would say just break them in and see if that works out for you. If not, just return them. Okay, so when these shoes first came out, everyone thought that they would be a similar shoe to the React Metcons, which were very comfortable, very flexible shoes. You could run in them, you could jump in them, you could wear them all day long. They were just really easy on your feet. I have to say that that is kind of true with the React Metcons. I mean, I even thought that these were going to be like the successor for the Nike Metcon Reacts, obviously because the name is, you know, so similar. But I feel like these are probably a little bit more in line with just normal Metcons. These are comfortable to wear around. I don't think that they are that stiff or anything. They're definitely flexible. I think like working out in them, doing like plyometric movements is really easy to do in these shoes. They're also very lightweight, but the midsole, it's not as soft as the previous React midsole. It's a little bit more on the dense side. I actually think it's more dense than the Metcon 6 and Metcon 5 drop-in midsole that had the dual density. The heel is pretty similar, but then the forefoot on this shoe is, to me, it feels a little bit more stiff, which I think for a training shoe is fine. With this shoe, the midsole feels completely consistent from heel to the toe part, which I really like, and it's still pretty comfortable. Now, when I took these for a run, I thought that they were just okay. I didn't think that they were nearly as good as the React Metcon from before, which actually are one of my favorite training shoes to run in. These are still very flexible. If you run towards the front part of the shoe, they're still pretty good. If you're a heel striker, you're probably gonna think that the running in the shoe is pretty miserable. It's still kind of clacky, kind of feels like you're wearing a dress shoe a little bit. But for the majority of the runs that you're gonna do in like a typical CrossFit workout, 400, maybe up to a mile, maybe even up to 2 miles, I think that they're gonna be fine. They're lightweight, they're flexible. The heel's a little bit clunky, but you can adjust to that. And I thought they were good enough for running. Not the greatest, but good enough. Definitely not as good as the previous Reacts, which I still think have a place if you wanted a training shoe to run in. Now for plyometric movements, like I said, very comfortable, very responsive, very flexible. And I think that is where these shoes shine. Like box jumps, box step-ups, burpees. They're very flexible in that toe box, but they're still very responsive. Double unders, easy to track double unders in these shoes. I really can't complain about like plyometric movements, but that wouldn't be it with these shoes. So I think like the majority of people thought that these were going to be too soft for lifting initially, but these are excellent for lifting. I have not shied away from any weights in the React Metcons. I deadlifted over 500 pounds, I snatched over 200 pounds, clean and jerk close to my 90s. I had absolutely no issues with stability in the React Turbos. And I think that they're a little bit more in line with the Metcon 4 drop-in midsole in terms of like just the overall feel and stability of the shoe. The upper is a little bit more flexible here, so it's going to give a little bit more. So in that respect, it's probably not as not as great as the Metcon 4 for lifting, but overall, I thought the platform in these shoes was excellent for pretty much anything that you're going to find in a weight room, a CrossFit gym, a Globo gym, you name it. I think that these are going to be excellent, and I don't think that anyone should have any reservations for lifting in their React Turbos. Okay, so when it comes down to it, the React Turbos retail for $150, like the Flyknit Metcons from before, and like last year's React Metcon. In my opinion, if you wanted the overall best training shoe and you just didn't want to rope climb, or you had something else to rope climb in, then I think the React Metcons are the best way to spend your money. I think that these are one of the most complete training shoes to come out in a very long time. I really love wearing this. And if you watch my Instagram videos, I switch my shoes constantly. I'm like during workouts, I'm constantly switching them. If I get a break, I am for sure gonna switch my shoes. And the shoe that I always went to or landed back on, and I was like, man, this shoe is it's just better than everything else, was the React Metcon. I thought that these shoes were excellent for pretty much everything that I did. Are they the best at everything? No. No shoe is the best at everything. There has never been a perfect shoe. These, in my opinion, have been the best in everything without sacrificing very much. Obviously, rope climbs are the biggest sacrifice here. So, you know, if you're a huge rope climber, then you're probably not gonna like these shoes, but you probably have a favorite pair of rope climbing shoes anyways. If you just needed a solid pair of training shoes, I still think that the Metcon 6 is a very good buy. You're saving a little bit of money. They're still fairly comfortable. Running is probably on par. Stability, I would say, is a little bit worse than on the React Turbos, but it's still pretty good, and I wouldn't shy away from doing any lifting in just like normal Metcon 6s. So if you wanted to save a little bit of money, I'd still say that the Metcon 6 is an excellent pickup. But if you wanted probably the best training shoe at the moment, then I would say spend the extra 30 bucks or 20 bucks and get the React Turbos. I think that these are really, really good training shoes. And these are gonna be my new go-to when I'm not doing any kind of reviews or anything. I really like the React Turbos. I hope that they're coming out with more colors soon so I can give Nike more money. But these are probably the best training shoes that I've used in, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years. So If you guys have any questions about the Nike Metcon React Turbos, feel free to leave them in the comment section. If you guys haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you in the next video, guys.